good day. Hope everybody out there is having a good one. I want to talk a little bit about this article I was reading. The singer of Foreigner, Kelly Hansen, blast bands who are not giving fans a real live performance. Tell them to go F themselves. He makes some pretty valid points. Now, it's ironic coming from a band that's really just a shell of itself, its former self. Now, I grew up with Foreigner. Urgent, Cold as Ice, Hot Blooded, Juke Box Hero. The list goes on. They have hits for days. And they have enough hits that basically a whole show with them is nothing but hits. But, all that being said, to sing Foreigner songs, you listen to Foreigner, you gotta be able to bring it. There's, some singing involved in Foreigner songs, and some good stuff at that. Now, that's objective. You can, let's go listen to any Foreigner tune, and yeah, good singing. Now, the original singer has been gone. This is the new singer. Now, he's been with the band since 2005, which now is a while ago. It's already been like almost 20 years. That's crazy. But anyway, he still, all things aside, he makes some very valid points about bands that, that should have been calling it quits a while ago, and bands that are, coasting on their old success. Now, I have to add some things here. Now, a lot of this that is going on, and he knows this very well too, a lot of this has to do with labels, Live Nation, the fact that right now the big mainstream labels, they're really squeezing out every cent that they can out of these, what they call legacy acts now. And they will keep putting them on stage, fake or not, as long as you keep giving them your money. And that's basically what it comes down to. Now, himself, he's saying, I want you to understand something from an artistic point of view. And I don't think that many people talk about this, but we all know that there are bands out there that are traveling, playing, taking your money, and not giving you a real live performance. He continued, no matter what you say about me or about us, we're the fucking real deal. And it's hard to sing this beautiful catalog of songs when you're 30. I'm 62. And what we decided was that we're going to give you our best and leave you at our best every single show to the very end. Because these songs deserve it and you deserve it. Anything less is someone saying, fuck you for supporting us, for me for decades. So anytime you see anyone out there who's doing that, tell them to go fuck themselves. Listen, if you ain't got it anymore, you ain't got it, right? All right? Just deal with it and move on. And look, there are plenty of ways that, bands can still monetize and still make money without having to go out and do this fakery, and then when it comes to like, whenever anybody brings up backing tracks, it's like, we have to first define what we all agree backing tracks are, and what, when people talk about the real deal, or people that are out there playing that shouldn't be, that aren't giving you a real show, that means these are, they're 85% backing tracks, and 20% the real deal. Or what? No, 85%, then yeah, that'd be 15, right? So, all math, stupid math aside, me and the maths. The point is they're only really giving you, a little bit of the actual show, and they'll keep doing that until you stop giving them your money. Now, when it comes to the backing tracks, I wanna people to understand. I'm not talking about like bands like Falling in Reverse and bands that have a lot of samples and stuff like that. Those are things that are very incorporated and take a lot of very precise timing to hit. There's a lot of times where drummers are in control of a lot of those samples. They have pads that they hit. They have different programs they go through where they hit it and a sample rings out. Sometimes it can be a 30-second symphony sample or a backing thing, a backing synthesizer piece that they're not going to carry a synthesizer guy around just to play this one part in a song because, when we were in the studio, we thought this sounded pretty awesome and we want to keep it when we do it live. My personal opinion is, and I do think a band like Falling in Reverse, just from what I've heard of them, I do think a band like Falling in Reverse could strip themselves down. I think they could make an acoustic set and really show people that, hey, we can play music, okay? And I know the singer likes to, pick fights, or I don't know, I guess not pick fights, but, he doesn't have any trouble calling people out on Twitter, we'll say, or X, or whatever they want to call it these days, the flying X. I don't, when I talk about backing tracks, I'm talking about like the Milli Vanilli, that most of the music that you're hearing is just they're pretending to play. They're not really playing, or, they're playing along with it, but they can at any time take their hand off the guitar and there'll still be a guitar, playing. This assist, and all this type of stuff. And look, people like him that have been on the road and they're seeing it, it's like, they're old school. It's like either do it or don't, but don't be out there giving people, these fake shows. Now, for the First Lake of Foreigners U.S. Live Nation produced tour, which means the tickets are probably $1 million a piece, which kicked off on July 6th at Atlanta's Amaris Bank Amphitheater. The band is being joined by Loverboy. Now, this tour, I think, is already hit where I am here in Florida. And there was a great crowd. A lot of people had fun. I heard a lot of good things about it. I didn't personally go. By the time I even realized it was coming, it was too late to even, make arrangements. But I see this as a good lineup, because I think it's really cool that Loverboy, and it's going to sound weird, Loverboy didn't get enough love, I think, in their time. And it's cool to see them being able to, ride off into the sunset with a band like Foreigner. I just think that that's a really cool, matchup. I think these two bands, especially with the fan base, that's a great combo. in my personal opinion. Now, the only remaining original member of Foreigner, guitarist Mick Jones, suffered from some health issues beginning in 2011, eventually resulting in heart surgery in 2012. Ever since, it's never been announced whether he will be appearing with the band for specific shows or it just depends on what he's feeling. But either way, at the end of the day, they were kind of like Foghat, where there was only, I think that right now there's only one remaining real member, but there was only like two original members, the drummer and the bassist. But Foghat still sounded awesome. They picked the right people. They still sounded like, Foghat. So, but we're at the point now where, like we were talking about, like Lou Gramm left in 2003. So you put it all together, this is kind of a cover band. It's like Leonard Skinner is now. They're a shell of their former selves. But that doesn't mean they're not out there giving you a real performance. And Graham was the voice on Foreigner's biggest hits, including Feels Like the First Time, Cold as Ice, from the band's eponymous debut, with Hot Blooded, and I want to know what love is. Man, that song, they used to play that on the radio so much. It was like the song of the 80s, and it was like on all those like collectors things, like being a kid that grew up in the 80s and 90s, and this is going to hit you Gen Xers hard. We don't see it as much anymore, but there used to be all these like album compilations. They petered out with like, those hits albums, hits from the 90s and hits from the, 2000s and stuff. But there used to be all these like sappy where it'd be a whole compilation of like love songs or ballads or a whole compilation of, and you would always hear that song on those type of compilations. It was just, and it was in plenty of movies and, it's a great tune. But, growing up with it, after a while, it got old. They had, it was one of them songs, they really got their money's worth out of that one. HANSEN discussed Foreigner's decision to call it quits this past February in an interview with 96.1 KLPX radio station. He said, "One of my things that was important to me is that I not be out there doing these songs that I shouldn't really be doing anymore because I can't do them anymore. I want to do these songs justice and deliver them strong and vibrant and then quit while we're ahead," like that. And that's where Motley Crue was, and then they turned into what they are now. Now, he doesn't call them out in this article that I've seen so far, but you can kind of tell, they're probably part of the list in his head that he's talking about. I've seen far too many people who are, for probably many different reasons, still out there when they maybe shouldn't be. And I guess everyone has their own view of their vanity, whether it's visually or instrumentally or vocally. And I think that we're really at a peak right now. It's getting harder and harder to do the really difficult, challenging, but wonderful catalog of songs every year. And I just want to do them right. And I don't want to start having to do less of them right. And that's why there's a lot of times where there's a lot of hits that people are expecting from some bands, and they just don't play them anymore because the singer can't sing them. So those songs get cut out of the set. You're left thinking, why didn't they play one of their most, popular songs ever? Well, because it takes some range to play that, and ain't no range no more. So This past January, HANSEN was asked in an interview with Rob Rush Radio if this is indeed Ferna's last ever trek. Kelly said, "Our plan is to do this into 2024. I've been asked many times by many different people to continue doing this. And really, for me, it's a matter of being able to perform these songs at the level they deserve and that the fans deserve. Love this guy. And I cannot allow myself to do less than that. Just as a human being, I love the conscience of this man. This is beautiful. And this, we need, and that's why I salute, Mick Mars for saying, hey, I can't do it anymore, man. I can't go out on tours and I'm not going to play pretend. And that's cool. That's great. And hey, maybe now they have a completely capable guitarist. I just don't know if they're letting him play. It's gotten tougher and tougher every year to sing this great catalog of songs, he admitted. And it maybe sounds like I'm whining. I'm not trying to whine. I'm really fortunate to be able to have done this and do this with the band. It's just, I don't want to sacrifice the quality of these songs and the performance of these songs. So I think it's better to say, you know what? I'm going to leave here strong and let the memory of this live thing be strong as well. And I have to say, for being a person that has seen a lot of live shows, and seen some shows that I could tell, yep, that, this is it for them, that they're on the downward slope. There's a lot of bands out there, or some of those legacy acts that, they should have went out on a peak instead of, they don't mind being put on blast for using backing tracks or whatever because they're getting paid. So they don't care. But it's like, at the end of the day, what's your conscience like? As a performer, as an instrumentalist, as an artist, are you just, squeezing pennies out of your people because you can, and then it's like, you're really, the last memory you're going to leave them is a sucky show with backing tracks. That's, that's just it. And I gotta, and there's a, we'll link to this, is a cool, live performance of this. Kind of said, amazing crowds and amazing, asked if he will miss, what he will miss about touring. You'll miss the amazing crowds and amazing band. I mean, what a great band with people that, we all enjoy being around each other, which, is, that says something. We enjoy each other's company and playing a catalog of songs that you couldn't dream of. You couldn't buy. Yes, you could. I have bought them. I've bought them all. But I understand what he's saying. And as a singer, to sing so many hit songs from the start of the show to the end of the show, there's no fluff or filler. And that's saying something. And a lot of people, I think, don't really realize that, that Foreigner's got a ton of hits, man. I mean, they have a whole show full of hits. And that's just a dream to have happen. And so I'm gonna miss all that. And it's been a hard decision to make, but I think you have to get on to these things early and make sure you're doing the right thing. I've seen far too many other live entities happen that I really feel shouldn't be out there anymore. I love the use of the word entities. Not even calling them bands anymore. Which rightfully so. You just, traveling piggy banks that's sucking fans dry of nostalgia, and that's what it comes down to is really taking advantage of people's nostalgia. And here is a band that would rather not do that and rather actually deliver what you came to see and go out on top. I mean, look, let's be real, okay? After all, this band at this point is really just a cover band, but it isn't like all they got switched out through time, and they're all perfectly awesome replacements, and they all do this music justice. And I think they see the reading in the tea leaves that, hey, the last remaining member isn't even playing. We're really just there's not many bands out there, that are talking like him, and it's good to hear, and that's why I think, Mick Mars gets more respect than the whole of Motley Crue. It's because at least he was honest with himself, with the rest of everybody else, and he also wanted, to deliver this solo album and go out on a high note, which that's the thing. At the end of the day, I know this isn't a Motley Crue Mick Mars article, but this is a perfect example of, at the end of the day, I think Mick Mars will be the one that goes on a high note, and Motley Crue is going to go out on a low note or kind of a laughable note. We'll see how that plays out. But I really love this guy's honesty. I hope people have gotten a chance to see them live, because this could be the last time you ever see them. Well, it's looking pretty much like it's going to be the last time you see them. They've been a great inspirational band. The years that I think the very few people out there from Generation X or that even grew up in the 90s that don't know some Foreigner songs. So it's, I think, refreshing to hear a legacy act talk this way and want to go out on a high note and not just want to squeeze people's, press people's nostalgia button and collect the coins that come out. So, yeah, I guess some pretty cool news, but yeah, pretty harsh words and pretty straightforward, and but still very, very appreciated, and it's very refreshing to hear these things. I have a lot of respect for a lot of these acts that are, a lot of these musicians that have influenced the way I look at music or influenced the way I've played music, and all that. And that's why it sucks to see things come to the way they've ended up in some situations. And it's good to see that there's some bands out there that aren't going to be a part or one of them entities, and aren't going to be one of those things that go out on a low note. Hope everybody out there is having a high note of a day. Hope it's going as good as it possibly can be. I know it's not that easy these days, but do try to have a good day. Like, comment, subscribe. We got a ton of news, news, reacts, reviews, and music discussions, all sorts of stuff like this. Let me know what you think about this article. I'll have it all linked up in the description. And what are your thoughts on these things? I mean, really, I think the guy has a perfectly valid point. I think he's right, and I think more fans should be thinking like that. And I think, again, at the end of the day, I think Mick Mars will go out on a high note while his former band or his band goes out on a much lower note. But we know that Foreigner plans on going out on a high note. So have a high note. Have a day out there, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.